This is the 246th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the last day of June 2016. This episode is titled Bought and Sold. CloudFocus Weekly is brought to you by Clone This User. Clone an existing Salesforce user with a click of a button by the desktop or on Salesforce One mobile. Available for free on the App Exchange or clonethisuser.com. www.clonethisuser.com. One word. All lowercase. I'm your host, Jason Atwood. Joining me from the lowercase side of the room, co-host Justin Edelstein. Justin, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. What if you typed clone this user in all caps? What would happen?
Internet would break.
Breaking the internet?
Sharknado 4.
You know, you don't use the tagline in your little read there.
CloudFocus Week is brought to you by Clone This User. Duplicates you'll love.
There you go.
Clone an existing Salesforce user with a
That's
click of a
so
button.
much better.
Right.
You know what? Stop. We don't want to hear anymore.
Right.
But yeah, the duplicates you love, I think, needs to be a part of
Duplicates you love.
that.
Okay, I'm putting it in right now.
Yeah, can you put that in? Thanks.
Well, maybe we'll start it again.
No. Let's keep going.
All right.
They've already downloaded. It's all good.
They've already listened to this part of it.
And that's fine.
And we're done.
We'll see you later.
All right. So we have an agenda today. We are going to do 0 blog posts this week. Not because there haven't been blog posts, because there have. But we're going to save them up. So we're going to save up. We have a blog post on some nonprofit starter pack things in summer 16. And we also have a blog post, hopefully, although it hasn't been published yet, on Squid.
Yeah.
So there's that to look forward to.
Yeah.
So we'll do that next week.
Like sushi.
And we'll do WWDC next week, which has tons of stuff, most of which you didn't remember because I was talking to you about them today and you didn't remember half of the things that I told you about.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't that impressed,
Or paying attention.
One or the other or both.
Okay. So we'll talk about those next week. But this week, we're going to kind of get back to the news of the
basics?
Back to the basics, back to like cloud news. Salesforce, while we have been podcasting about other things, has been off acquiring, merging, not selling.
Just throwing their weight around.
And we have a big purchase by probably the shocker of the century, not really, of Microsoft purchasing LinkedIn. So we'll talk about that. So, but first, like every week, we have to start off with more Salesforce outages.
Every week?
Oh, not
every
too
week.
soon.
That's,
too soon.
That's
So we had the NA14, which is still a T-shirt, and now what we refer to as if anything fails hard. So like, oh, that person NA14 my salad today.
So quick aside,
Yeah.
relevant aside,
Relevant.
you and I live in the same building.
Oh,
Not in the same apartment, but in
No.
the same building.
feels like it sometimes.
And I was walking home this morning from my physical therapy appointment.
Yes.
And I saw you walking your dog, so I joined you.
This is true.
And
This is fascinating podcast
We
material.
ran into someone outside who's a fellow Salesforce
Oh,
geek.
okay. You're
And
making it relevant.
I'm
Nice. I like it.
getting there. And she was talking about registering for Dreamforce. And when you register for Dreamforce, you kind of log in to the success community, which is, I think it's technically the success community, but it's Dreamforce's little community within the community, but it's all success anyway.
Yes.
And she was on NA14 and couldn't log in to register that day. Like, that's the day it went down, which is I didn't realize or know, and I'm sure it had nothing to do with it, although it may have. And she had to basically create a developer account so that she could register to make sure to get a hotel room, and then was able to from there kind of switch it. But I found that rather interesting that people were prevented from obviously logging into any Salesforce property, since they're now all single sign-on and linked together, which is very nice. But when your instance is down, that's not so nice.
So
So that's my little aside.
That's your cool. Well,
And it
that
a
was
good aside,
weeks ago. Not so good. But we had another outage in NA10. Looking at now is out for
What's going
about
on, North America?
about hour and 8 minutes, which is not small. I mean, a blip, 5 minutes here or there.
What time was it?
1955 UTC.
Great.
Exactly. Good job. But it was caused by a hardware failure on a node of a database tier. And when I hear that, I'm kind of like, isn't that the whole point that shouldn't be a thing? Like a hardware failure is what should not have affect anything. Like that's supposed to just happen all the time. Should fail and nothing should be known from the outside. No?
I don't know. I mean, hardware fails.
But that's what disaster recovery, that's what backups, that's what hot swaps are for.
Yep. I think part of it is like it's not your hardware that failed that you have to now go deal with. Is also a big part of the thing. It's like, sure, we were down for an hour. Like, okay. On one pod, we were down for an hour. Like, I get it. That's bad.
Yeah.
But when you think about how many companies are using the service and how many transactions are occurring on a hourly, daily basis, the scale at which they are performing, like to have something be down for an hour is not, it's not like the biggest thing ever, because that, like, being down for an hour happens to everybody. It's
Google Calendar's been down all morning, for
it's
example.
how quickly you can get back up and what you as a company need to do to get back up. Like, is someone else doing the dirty work for you, or do you have to do it? Like, oh boy, database tier node thing broke, like cryptic whatever.
Oh, I've gotten those calls.
Gotta go fix it.
Your beeper goes
Don't
off.
know how to fix it. Or need to buy a new server because don't have one laying around. And then something's down for like a week.
That just doesn't happen. It's funny. I'm going back over a couple of days. You can go back to May 28th on their trust site, and you can see there's like little red dots all around. Sometimes they're 5 minutes.
We call those pimples.
Yeah, they are. They're pimples on
That's
the
what we call
service.
Those. We call those pimples.
Little red dots all over the map. Anyway, they didn't lose any data this time, which is good because
that's good.
But
so no data loss, so not a biggie.
Speaking of data loss, Salesforce has been buying some companies.
Seriously,
let's call it money data loss.
Money.
So I know of very few of these. So why don't you lead me through this news cycle?
Okay. So I don't know if I have these in the correct chronological order.
Probably not.
So we'll just keep going with them.
Sure.
So Salesforce bought a hot, meaning like they were the new kids on the block, deep learning startup called MetaMind.
Was it called Pied Piper?
No, it's called MetaMind.
Middle Out?
No.
No.
MetaMind, who've already shut down their service as of May 4th. So we're a little late on this one. But Salesforce bought it as part of their, machine learning, deep learning, whatever you want to call it, to integrate that into their services. And they've bought a lot of these types of companies over the last couple of years. They bought Prediction.io. They bought something called Tempo AI. They are continuing to build up their team when it comes to data science and this machine learning technology. And
so where would you see this popping up in Salesforce? Okay, machine learning.
Well, back when they acquired, it was a while ago, Instranet, which turned into Knowledge, it was all about like its ability to suggest things smartly. So I think that's where this is going, where Salesforce just gets smarter and starts suggesting things to you, whether it be you're on a case, you get a better suggestion about a knowledge article, you're on an account, and all of a sudden the relevant news section is actually relevant, things of that nature. It might have to do
Seems
also
so
with
basic crap.
It might also have to do with like analytics.
I feel like that's better.
So being able to more accurately predict trends and forecasting along the lines of real learning from data points that they understand are relevant. I think that has to be where they're going. I really You never know until you see this stuff pop up.
If
and
it
this stuff's
does.
like under the covers, and all of a sudden they'll announce something really cool, and you're like, oh, that must be.
If I were going to look at a product and think, where is it going in? I think it's going into Salesforce IQ. Which
that was
is
another one that they purchased.
Right, but I'm saying if I'm looking at if we're talking about machine learning and learning algorithms, where do I see that in the current product where there's something that pays attention to what things are happening and kind of gives you and thinks about things? I feel like that's in Salesforce IQ. I don't think that's in like account or news because that's basic stuff, but I feel like, understanding user behavior, understanding emails, what should be read, what should be responded to, what's in the emails, what's the, we used to talk when we did search way back when at the company show not name, we talked about, it wasn't attitude, it was, the sentiment analysis, right? Which we put on a bunch of articles, and the idea was that this engine would learn the sentiment of the articles based on the words in it. So I kind of feel like that's where it's going, because that's the piece of Salesforce that I see. Service, right? So cases and knowledge, I guess, but I see it more in the apps now that are kind of looking at your data, your individual data, and kind of suggesting things that you need to do. So, there's things like IQ that will look at your emails and do you need to follow up on this and that type of stuff. So that's where I feel like it would be going, but who knows? Also, I think a lot of these are acqui-hires. They got 5 smart guys. I can't hire them all, but I
shut down the service.
But I can buy the company.
Yeah.
And I hire them all and pay them.
And then rebrand it.
So what's next?
Ride a wave. What is next? So Salesforce selected Amazon Web Services as their preferred public cloud infrastructure provider. How about that? Salesforce, the cloud company, and their platform as a service will now partially be running on Amazon's public cloud. So you'll have a public cloud service running on another public cloudception.
Cloud on cloud?
Cloud on cloud.
Don't Google that.
Cloud on cloud crime? It's hard to say.
Yeah. It's not that type of podcast.
So this is, in the announcement, they really talked about how this is to help Salesforce with their expansion internationally and allow them to be able to scale more quickly with infrastructure in their international markets.
Basically, instead of going and building pods over the world, they're going to leverage AWS and make their services run on AWS.
Yeah, and maybe just fall back on AWS's terms as it relates to where data needs to be stored, things of that nature for some international. Some of the countries require the data to be in their country, right? And that is a problem if you don't want to go building pods all over the world. So that is one thing.
Well, what was interesting was it says, so like in this thing, it says, building many services, including Heroku, Marketing Cloud, Social Studio, Salesforce IQ, again, all bought things, and Salesforce IoT Cloud, which to me, I don't know what
Thunder.
That
but
that
all
is
that
right now.
stuff, I think, already
runs on. They already run on AWS,
Yeah.
which surprising news. Like I didn't know that. I mean, I knew Heroku. No, I kind of thought Heroku ran on its own
Heroku
stack.
ran on AWS.
Maybe I did,
Yeah.
but not Social Studio and the Salesforce IQ.
Again, Social Studio is just a mishmash of things they bought.
But bringing Service Cloud, Sales Cloud, App Cloud, Community Cloud, and Analytics Cloud,
core stuff running on Amazon.
This could be one of the biggest pieces of news. I feel like it's.
I think Amazon runs the universe.
But could Salesforce get out of the business of the cloud and kind of get into just app development on the cloud? So in the future, could Salesforce be like, yeah, this whole running of servers that go down and lose data in A14, maybe let's get away from that. Let's just build apps that run on top of someone else's cloud. Let them handle that.
Well, it's building apps and a platform.
Right. But I could run it on AWS.
Apps, it's platform.
You understand what I'm saying? Getting away from the hardware side of things.
The Salesforce toolkit, if you will. It's not running on Salesforce's actual environment or their hardware and infrastructure. It's just here's the here's Sales Cloud and the tools to build whatever you want.
If you think about that for a second, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, but it's their vision too. Like their whole thing was no more servers, no more software.
You get your HP
Amazing.
private server.
Amazing. Super cloud.
Right,
so
but
you don't need that.
But I'm seeing could you see a point where you spin up an AWS cloud for yourself and install Salesforce service,
No.
Salesforce sales?
No.
Like you run your own.
No.
BYOC.
You keep asking me, I'm going to say no. It may be distributed that way, but I do not think Salesforce wants to give up that level of control.
It's interesting. It turns into this like productizing it. Which could be interesting. Yeah, I don't agree that's where they're going, but interesting. Just think about it.
Yeah, super great.
Next.
All right. Next, Salesforce buys Demandware for a whopping $2.8 billion to take a step into e-commerce. So I remember at last year's Dreamforce, Dreamforce 15, at the Community Cloud keynote, someone up there just showing off how you can set up an e-commerce community with clicks, not code, and just get her up and running. And all of a sudden, there's this couple of $1 billion acquisition to buy one of the leaders in cloud e-commerce. So this will clearly be, a play to go into communities and be able to spin up e-commerce communities and embed e-commerce into your community, whether it be you're a retailer and you've created a community around your brand and you want to be able to start selling some stuff, or you're a nonprofit and you've created a community for your alumni and you want to be able to start donating things. A lot of different use cases for what an e-commerce solution with full tight, and we know it's a couple years out, full tight, real nice integration with Salesforce is either 2 years away or maybe never happening.
I think the
someday maybe list potentially.
Someday maybe. Nice GTD reference. I'm interested in sort of so, when I think about in my Salesforce org myself, that's bad. When I'm in my Salesforce org, I'm not seeing a buy it now button. Like, what am I buying? Buying my lead? No. But I thought about Dreamforce, right? So when you go register for Dreamforce, you have to pay. Right? Pay for the registration and do all that. All that stuff is probably handled off on someone else's infrastructure. It's an integration, whatever, credit card. But if they could handle it themselves and then build that into the full community, so you could build e-commerce communities, right? Interesting, right? So it's beyond just the one-click buy. It's like full e-commerce with carts and subscription models and all the sort of stuff that's beyond just basically a pay now button. Interesting. Again, 2-3 years out.
Well, you mix that into the machine learning stuff, and all of a sudden, if all these things could actually worlds collide and work together, it's an interesting thing because you've invited your customers into a customer community. You know what they've already bought, and now you've integrated what you know about them to entice them to buy similar things or
stuff that Amazon's been doing for 10 years.
Yeah,
right.
That kind of thing.
The thing I think is missing from Salesforce's world here, and it used to exist. I actually don't know where it exists in the universe because it's not something talked about. Is sort of sites technology, right? So community is very based in user, login type of
login.
But like, where is the connector to kind of build the outside world to Salesforce? And it was sites.
It's still sites.
But I feel like sites.
Sites are still sites.
And have they been touched in? Are they in the solutions category of things, like where they've been?
No, they're sites. Communities are technically built on sites. Mm. The login page is a site. It's an unauthenticated page. You have to log in.
I feel like
it is a sites page.
I feel like they've moved away from
literally a sites page.
I feel like they've moved away from the public, the non-logged in side of the Salesforce world.
Well, they've moved away from it because
Well, they
it's free.
Well, they killed off some things like publishing knowledge or publishing the self-service portal. Remember that was, I mean, that's old school, but
that's like super old school thing.
Right, but there used to be ways, and even the exposing knowledge to a public internet is now like a installed package. It's not even part of the core product.
But it never was.
I know, but Solutions was. You could expose Solutions natively with like the click of a button. It became a website. Like you just pop it up on your website. No code required. Like here's some HTML. Right. I feel like they've gotten away from the public side of things. So what I was thinking about was, okay, so e-commerce, yes, you want people to log into your sites to do some of this stuff, but most e-commerce is, and I would guess, most e-commerce is not known users. It's people landing on your site for the first time, clicking a button to buy, shopping cart, put things together, hit send or hit buy. Yeah. They're not a known user.
Yeah, but if you have the vision, then, I mean, you know who they are, and at that point, you're capturing them in your cart, and you're shooting them into Marketing Cloud as well, which we kind of forgot when it came to this machine learning piece. That's a big thing, too, just understanding behaviors of your customers and prospects. So when someone's in your shopping cart, they ought to be in a list.
Get out of my shopping cart. What are you doing in there?
They ought to be in a list in Marketing Cloud, and then when they buy something, you ought to know what they bought, and they should be in another list of people who bought this thing and be able to actually market to them.
And machine learning tells you these 10 people have bought these types of things, therefore they're more apt to buy this thing. That's what you need to show them in the community. It all ties
together. I could see it as a big-time vision thing. I don't want to see it at Dreamforce 16 because it's not real for 4 years.
Oh, well, then that means you're definitely going to see it.
Wow. Maybe a drone will deliver me something that I just thought about.
Wait. Commerce Cloud.
Commerce Cloud.
Done. Just nailed it. Done. If that comes out, I get like a +10.
You get nothing. That was
Commerce
too
Cloud.
Easy.
No, you didn't come up with it. It's awesome. I did it. Commerce Cloud.
How many clouds are there at this point?
Too many. Remember when we had like things like the product that they?
Oh yeah, they just like threw it up there as a cloud.
It's a cloud
product.
Yeah, something about cases and Radiant. No, that's another cloud. I feel like the clouds come and go, just like in the true world.
Clouds do come and
go. And then there's... Did Ideas ever get its own cloud?
No.
Idea Cloud.
No, I feel like there was, Sales Cloud, Service Cloud.
Well, Service Cloud's newer.
What is that product? It's the... Oh, it's killing me. And my brother-in-law works with it.
Demo, it didn't look anything like Salesforce. I'm like, what is that?
I forget what it was. It's from CA, I think.
Whatever
it is.
It's a cloud.
I'm completely blanking, but I know exactly what it is.
All right. No, you don't. All right, next up.
All right, more stuff. SteelBrick. So, Aptus, you may run the expo floor, but SteelBrick is owned by Salesforce, and they're coming for you, I imagine. So, quote to cash, vendor SteelBrick, $360 million, and they're now part of Salesforce's solution.
But why are we covering a story that's like from December 2015?
I just threw it in there because it's an acquisition. Hey man, listen, don't even start.
Are you really putting in a story? In other news, Salesforce announces Chatter.
Shut up. All right, I'll move past. We can go to Microsoft.
Did you not know it was from 2000?
I knew it was very old, but I threw it in because it actually it was topical.
So true.
Well, now we're done. All right, goodbye. Next, Microsoft to acquire LinkedIn.
Next episode, we're going to talk about how cool Web to Case is.
I'm going to stop talking. Go ahead.
Really?
Yep, done.
All right, go ahead. Don't worry about it, buddy. It's okay. Come here, buddy. Come on, you can talk. Oh, he's shaking his head no. He goes, no, I'm not going to talk. No, she's talking now. I'm so mad. Best podcast ever. So anyway, Justin is... No, I can't do it. This is not kind of podcast. I was going to call you out on something. All right, go ahead. I'll do our last one. As long as it happened in the last 6 months, it's good news to us. Go ahead. Come on. It's a very bad podcast if you don't talk. I mean, obviously you're not very good at capturing the news, but you're good at saying the news, especially the relevant stuff like Salesforce acquiring firms from 6 years ago. Oh, now he's taking his seat back. All right, we'll talk about Microsoft purchasing LinkedIn. This and every other episode will be now hosted by me and some other partner. So Salesforce purchased LinkedIn. Sorry, Microsoft purchased LinkedIn for nothing, like $26.2 billion. All right, you can come back in. It's enough. Seriously, it's not going to be a good podcast. Can't do it.
Because it's just you.
Yeah.
So it's terrible. If it was me on my own, it'd be all right. But it's you.
You could discuss
not
things.
Not so good.
Like...
Not so great. I could discuss things from 2014. People would find that
new
interesting.
cool album by Michael Jackson,
People
Thriller.
would like, really, Michael Jackson?
That's the one that came to my mind.
Okay.
I could do Prince.
26.2 billion. It's like a marathon.
Wow. First of all, just off the top of your head, I heard a lot of feedback about this. One of the things is, so this is the reason we're talking about cloud, obviously, a little bit, but there was rumors that Salesforce was in this game, that they were in the wanting to purchase.
Yeah, but then it was $26.2 billion, and they're like, wait a minute.
No, we only spend like $3 billion on a time.
Yeah, we don't have that.
We don't have that.
We'll give you stock options.
So Microsoft typically, if you go back and look at their acquisitions, does terrible with these acquisitions. They don't do well. Like over the history,
the new regime has been better.
The new regime is very new. They don't have a very big track record. But over the last 20, 30 years, Microsoft has not purchased good things.
Some of the stuff that they've done, again, a lot of things they do is enterprisey. It's not consumer. And LinkedIn was a consumer thing, so it's a little weird, right? But they did grab consumer things like Skype, for example, and they've done pretty well with it in the enterprise, right? Skype for enterprise, people use that. We don't happen to work at the type of company that would be using that, but it's used. I know it is.
Yeah, I'm just saying Microsoft's acquisition history is bad. So here you're buying LinkedIn. Okay, I get it. Enterprise, contact management, sort of. People, it doesn't feel to me to fit within their new strategy. I thought their new strategy was very about open and cloud and being connected with other things. You know, they showed up doing a lot of stuff with Apple. They're doing tons and tons with Salesforce now. They built more and more integrations with Outlook and Salesforce. This just doesn't feel like, it just feels like an acquisition for an acquisition's sake. It doesn't have like...
I don't know if you do that for $26 billion just for the sake of doing it. I think you do it because you understand that, okay, here's a social network that's built around business contacts that they understand how to build a network, a social network. They actually have engaged users. They have lots of people that are already connected to one another in a business context.
Yeah.
And it could potentially be interesting data to use in some CRM plays, potentially.
Dynamics.
Yeah. It could be used, for different types of applications, like recruiting applications.
Let me just read this quote.
Could potentially be
this crap quote. Here we go. This is the quote from LinkedIn's name, Weiner, I think. Anyway, Jeff Weiner. Just as we have changed the way the world connects to opportunity, this relationship with Microsoft and the combination of their cloud and LinkedIn's network now gives us a chance to also change the way the world works.
Yeah, they're gonna.
That is just that's like that to me is the death knell. It's like someone used
that's the best. That was like my buzzwords.
It was
text expander right there.
I'm looking forward to leading our team to the next chapter of our story.
Well, that's a true statement.
It just doesn't make any sense. So, are you more or less inclined to use LinkedIn now?
No change.
Really?
Neutral.
I'm a little bit less inclined.
That's because you're an old school Microsoft hater.
No, I'm not a Microsoft hater. I'm a huge proponent of their new stuff. It kind of takes just what you said. Now, this is like when Salesforce bought Data.com or the engine behind it. What's the engine behind it?
Doesn't matter.
Right? It's kind of like you're taking a thing that I've pumped a lot of information into. Now you're tying it into this engine that's like for CRM and other things that maybe I don't want my data going into that engine. That every Dynamics user now has LinkedIn data populating in your Dynamics. Like, oh, wait, what?
Well, I'm sure that there'll
happy?
be new terms and agreements that you'll skip right through.
And I will definitely agree
and
to.
You'll agree to them because you want to use LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden your data will be usable.
Awesome.
Although you'll have said yes.
Yes, I will. I don't know. It to me, it's a BS purchase, and we'll look back on this one like
a lot
many
of money,
other.
man.
Yeah,
A lot of money.
This guy Jeff, he's off. He's like,
good.
I'm
man.
done.
He's good. He's good for life.
Speaking of being done,
Yeah.
let's do some CloudFocus app picks of the week.
Okay.
Because that's it. We got all the news that was. We've said our opinions.
Sure.
You were quiet for a little bit.
I was relaxing. It was nice. All right, so I'll go first.
What are you gonna pick?
I'm gonna pick Perfect Fit 360.
Oh, I know why you're picking this. That's so funny.
Do you know why I'm picking this?
Yes, I know why you're picking this.
Why am I picking this?
Because your
I'm using it.
your physical therapist sent you a link to it.
I think it's awesome. So
Was I right?
Perfect Fit 3. Well, I've had it for a while.
2 months.
Yeah, I've been going to physical therapy, folks. It's been brutal. Bad hip.
See, when you get him to talk, he'll talk about anything.
I'll talk about myself for days. So my physical therapist uses this app called Perfect Fit 360.
I have breaking news.
Okay, you can break into my pick.
Yes,
What
it's
happened?
actual news.
What happened?
Small news, but it's big news. So one of the features that was missing from Salesforce A, they removed when they put out the new version of Salesforce A, the new redesign. They removed the ability to do permission sets.
Do permission sets?
They just
Are
added
they
it back.
All right, good.
Just
Thanks
now.
for that breaking news.
That was pretty good.
Great.
So Salesforce A,
Thanks for interrupting.
You're welcome.
So thank you.
you're perfectly fit.
So Perfect Fit 360.
285.
Anyway, it's an exercise app that has its own. Anyone can use this, and it has pre-built workouts that are geared towards helping you strengthen this or that, the other, like a leg exercise or a shoulders exercise, or not exercise, but a full-blown workout. My physical therapist was able to actually put together a tailored workout for me and send me a code. So when I open the app, I can go into a little area and type in the code, and boom, there's my workout that I'm supposed to be doing.
And that's the workout cloud.
And that's the workout cloud. Amazing. No code.
Drones, Coke,
Everyone's a developer.
and A14 Lightning. Wow.
Done.
That's just, I went
So
2 neg.
anyway, Perfect
neg.
Fit 360. It's made by Perfect Fit Health LLC. It is free on the iTunes App Store. I'm sure it's available for Android as well. I just don't use that, but I'm sure it's there. It's good. It's really cool for people who want to just grab an exercise, like, let me improve hip flexibility, or let me
Just to be specific.
well, actually, that's one of their workouts. Let me do the ACL prevention program for athletes. There's tons of stuff in there that include both exercises and stretches. So it's really nice.
Sweet. I have used it, and I got it the same way you got it, which is my PT sent it to me. So I have a pick, but I have a little... So I got to this pick only because there was some news that Google is now going to support, if you type in internet speed check into the Google, it will then do an immediate speed check right in the browser. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. So I went to try it, and it didn't show up because I guess, sometimes they roll things out. They don't give it to everybody. So I wasn't in the whatever group. And so I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to try it. And then in the article, it said, oh, by the way, if you want to check out a really cool one, look at fast.com. So for those of you who, well, it's everybody. So one of the things when you're working on the internet, working in the cloud, you want to know how fast your speed is, because for me, I know if it's like under 5 meg, I can only do certain type of work, right? I can check email. If it's 5 to 10,
that's how it is for me when I'm working up in the country.
Right,
It's under
5 to 10,
it's DSL range.
I can actually do like work in Salesforce. 10 plus, I can do anything, data loading, whatever I want to do. But like under 5, I'm not going to try to get in and do too much in Salesforce because it's a lot of bandwidth and it just doesn't work very well. So you walk into someone's office or you go at home and you're like, what am I at? Like, what's my speed? So I usually use speedcheck.net, was the one I've used for years and years and years and years. But a new one's come out made by Netflix, and it's called Fast. It's just fast.com. They clearly bought the domain name. It's free. It's just a website. And the cool thing about it is you just go to the website, hit fast.com, and it just immediately starts checking. And there's no click a button, and it's all HTML5, so there's no like downloading or any modules. And like right now I'm seeing 56, 57, 58, which is pretty good.
I'm going to head over and see what's going on.
You're going to head over where?
To fast.com.
Oh, fast.com.
Mine's at 19.
And watch it. It'll keep going. It'll fly up. Anyway, it's just a cool website.
It.
If you
19.
if you're trying to tell somebody, like, you don't have to tell them to go to the .net, just say go to fast.com and it'll tell you what your speed is. It's free. It's powered by Netflix. It's just a Netflix property. I'm sure it's one of those like, hey, when they get a call with a Netflix person, like, my thing's not buffering. They're like, go to fast.com. What's it tell you? Oh, it's 1 meg. Well, that's why you can't watch, reruns of Star Trek or whatever.
Really?
I don't know. I couldn't think of
Michael
anything.
Jackson and reruns of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I heard Salesforce just purchased a
80s.
company.
Hey, Jason's back.
I'm not going to talk for like the next 2 minutes.
All right, I'm done.
All right. So that's it. So next week, we got July 4th coming up this weekend. So I think we'll probably be back next week. We have other things to talk about. We have blogs. We have WWDC. I'd really like to talk about it. If you have not watched it, you better watch the keynote again since you missed half of it. You can follow Justin at Just Edelstein. You can follow me at Jason M. Atwood. Follow the company at ArkusInc.com. We're on the Facebook. We're in the Success Community and the Power of Us Hub groups. We're on the LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft, Google Plus, owned by Google, and you can subscribe and review in iTunes and Stitcher. We love that. It's been a while since we've seen any reviews, so drop one up there and make us happy. Tweet at us. Until next week, it's us, Justin, Mr. Current News, Edelstein, and myself. Oh, I just got a death stare. Jason saying, enjoy those cloudy days.